Hey guys, I have a special 11 o'clock editorial for you. You can call this one Community Leo Watches News at 11. But I was just reading some things and I saw this and I'm going to bring it to your attention. So I want to talk about this real quick. I'm going to go through it though first. I'm going to put a link to this story in the description box below and you can comment in the comment section if you want. This deals with us. Comes to us from Fox News. Thank you, Fox News, for bringing this to my attention. Attorney General William Barr on Thursday, that's today actually, gave a strong message of support to the country's police officers, calling for Americans to respect cops and push back against an anti-cop attitude that sees resisting police as acceptable. Barr said at an International Association of Chiefs of Police event in Miami, quote, being a police officer is more difficult than it's ever been before. One reason is the emergence of a deeply troubling attitude towards police in some parts of our society. Far from respecting the men and women who put their lives on the line to protect us, it is becoming common in some quarters to scapegoat the police and disparage the vital role played by law enforcement in our society. He highlighted statistics that show assaults against police have jumped by 20% to 6,000 a year, and that in 2018, 106 police officers died in the line of duty, including 11 who lost their lives in ambushes. Barr said he was distressed by the attitude that it's okay to resist police officers and that it now happens on a casual basis. He told listeners that the reason such laws exist against resisting police is because police officers are put into dangerous situations which can escalate quickly. I'm going to go over that. There are a number of DAs that have stopped enforcing resistance laws, and I think we have to get back to the idea that it is completely unacceptable and we have zero tolerance for resisting of police, Barr said, quote. He went on, quote, if people have a problem, we have processes and there's a time and place to raise your concerns or complaint, but resistance is unacceptable. Barr touted the administration's efforts to back the cops and said the police have no greater champion than President Trump before citing pro-cop and anti-crime measures signed by the president. Trump last year directed the Department of Justice last month to establish the Commission on Law Enforcement and the Administration of Justice to look at how to reduce crime and confront issues such as mental health issues and substance abuse affecting officers. Now, this story goes on and on a little ways. It just starts to talk about some other things that we have to get back to the basics and support law enforcement for the safety, protection and safety of the citizens. He compared police officers to soldiers. No. So I'll put a link to the whole story in the description box below. You can go in and read the whole thing for yourself. It's not too long. I went past halfway, but I didn't go all the way to the bottom. But I did give you what I wanted to talk about real quick is when he's talking about some things here. Now, he says that assaults against police officers have jumped 20% to 6,000 a year in 2018. 106 police officers died. You know, I'm not advocating, nor do I advocate, nor do I condone, nor do I support violence against police officers just because you don't like cops. What I'm getting at is if you ambush police, if you assault a police officer, if you kill a police officer for just no reason because you just hate cops, you're a criminal. Accountability has to be a two-way street. If we only make accountability a one-way street, and that towards the police officers, then we're no better than they are. Accountability has to be a two-way street, and we have to be as much law-abiding as we expect police to be. We have to obey the law as much as we expect them to obey the law. And I'm going to go further into this in just a second. But so I'm not condoning, nor do I support or condone violence against law enforcement officers. No, that's a crime. It's just, if you walk up and hit a cop or shoot at a cop or anything, you're a criminal just as much as anyone else. So that's not what we're about. But we are about our constitutional rights. We are about living as free Americans and not having law enforcement officers lord over us. And I'm going to make this comparison because it is truly a realistic comparison. We're not going to have law enforcement officers in our streets in a manner that is similar to what the Jewish people in Germany had with the Nazis and the SS roaming the streets. We're not going to have that where they tell us, get over there or you're going to prison right now. You're going to jail right now. And you're not doing anything wrong. It's just the cop doesn't want you around. That's not living as a free American. That's living in the slavitude of law enforcement. We're not slaves. Okay, they're not our masters. They are law enforcement officers. They enforce laws that are being broken. If you're not breaking the law, then they can just fuck off because they have no authority over you. But cops think they have authority. See, law enforcement officers think they have authority over every goddamn American that walks the streets because they have a badge and they're a cop and they tell you what to do and you goddamn do it. No, that's not. No, not in the United States of America. In the United States of America, we live as free Americans. We're allowed to roam the streets and do what we want as long as we're not breaking the law. But he says here, he goes on, I'm going to kind of be a little redundant here over what I just read to you. He's distressed by the attitude, this is the Attorney General, that it's okay to resist police officers and it now happens on a casual basis. Now, he's making these blanket statements. He's not really being specific. I don't know if he's talking about everybody. He's talking about the YouTube videos that are on there, all the cop watchers, all of us like myself that push back against police. There's reasons for us to do that. Now, I'm trying to get my thoughts together. Hopefully I make sense in this. I'm not going to do this over. But it's okay to resist police officers happen on a casual basis. In some instances, that's because police officers are overstepping their bounds. They're pushing their authority farther than it's meant to go. And they're doing just what I just said a second ago. They think they can control every goddamn citizen on the street. When you're recording a police officer and he's searching somebody and you're 50 feet away and he says, come on, man, give me back up and give me some room. You don't need any more room. You're searching a guy in front of your goddamn car. How much room do you need to search somebody in front of your goddamn car? And then they start barking about, there's evidence over there. Why didn't you say that at first? I'm going to go into that. Hold on. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. But that's because police, law enforcement officers, deputies, they want to overstep their bounds. They want to push their authority onto everybody, including people that are abiding by the law, that are exercising constitutionally protected activities. But that's because they don't want to be on camera. You've got a camera. It's like the San Bernardino Police Department. When those two cops were searching that car on a traffic stop, and the cop said, hey, back up and give us room, man. And I was like 30 feet in front of the car they stopped, and they were behind the car at their police car. So I was probably 60 to 70 feet away, and I'm like, shut the hell up and get back to work. And then a girl walks down the street and walks right by them. We didn't tell her to get away and give you room. Oh, she doesn't have a camera. She didn't have a camera. I do. I did. So my point is, if you have a camera pointed at them, they don't want you there. Go away. Back up. Get out of the way. Get out of here. Stop recording. That's really what they're saying. But we're not supposed to push back. We're not supposed to resist. We're supposed to obey them. Excuse me. In the United States of America, we have the freedoms of the First Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, the 14th Amendment, the Sixth Amendment. Should I keep going? The Second Amendment. Should I keep going? And the First Amendment says we have the right to freedom of press. That means recording you, to put you on YouTube, on our social media. That's part of journalism. That's part of press. It might be an activism. It might be whatever it is. We have the right to exercise that. And you, law enforcement officers, don't have the right to tell us to get away when we're not breaking the law. And they say, 148A, huh? I'm not obstructing you. Look how far away I am. I'm not delaying you. You're delaying yourself by engaging me. Shut the fuck up and get back to work. I'm resisting you? No, I'm not legally resisting you, or illegally resisting you is what I should say, because I'm not illegally resisting you because there's no detainment. I'm not breaking the law. How can I resist you when I'm not even breaking the law? There's no lawful detainment if I'm not breaking the law. See, they think that they tell you to do something, you don't do it. Well, that's resisting. 148A. No, motherfucker. Resisting when we're breaking the law. If we're not breaking the law, you don't have any right to even say anything to us. So yes, we're allowed to resist you at that point. That's a lawful resistance. Because right now I'm a law-abiding citizen. You are overstepping your authority. And this goddamn attorney general, see, all these people are getting upset because the police aren't being respected. Well, the fucking police aren't respecting our rights as United States free Americans. And I'm not talking about every cop. See, I'm not making blanket statements like this attorney general. I'm speaking to, if the shoe fits, wear it, cinder fella. If the shoe doesn't fit, then I'm not talking to you. But you cops know who you are. You know you're the one that gets in people's faces, that screams at people. He goes on to say, let me look at this. There was something I read in here that I wanted to get to real quick. The police officers are put into dangerous situations that can escalate quickly. They escalate it. When I was 50 feet away, he didn't have to run up on me like that with his flashlight, like he was about to grab a hold of me and arrest me. He didn't have to get right in my face with his flashlight. He didn't have to do any of that. But the guy's a hothead with an anger management control issue. All he had to do was say, you know what, where you're standing, I think the guy dropped some stuff. I'm going to be looking over there. Could you stand right there for me? Because I think you're standing where the guy might have dropped. That's all he had to do. But the guy hates cameras. He doesn't like being recorded. He doesn't like being opposed. He doesn't like being resisted. He doesn't like that people are not going to do what he says because he's a cop, God damn it, and he's telling you to do something. But what he forgot was that in the United States of America, we have the freedom to record the police. 148 subsection G, should read it. And there is a way to talk to people. Now, when I cussed him back and all of that, that was in response to his escalation. He escalated. He took it from 0 to 100 like that, and then got pissed off when I used profanity. Well, yeah, you took it from 0 to 100 like that. I was just standing there like this talking into my microphone. And you got all pissed off and bent out of shape. Now, why am I bringing him up? Because that's like 3 or maybe 4 times now that he's tried to get on me and try to enforce his badge into my face when all I'm doing is standing there recording. Because it doesn't like cameras. Followed me all through town. I drove from way up the top of Yucaipa all the way down to Denny's and parked, and he followed me all the way. And when I got out to see what he wanted, he drove off really quick. And when I ran up to record him and say, the officer has just followed me through town, he came back with a camera, holding a camera like this while he's driving his police car. My point is, you have these law enforcement officers out there that are opposing us cop watchers, that are opposing us activists who are obeying the law, abiding by the law, not breaking the law. But we're not supposed to resist them when they oppose us. When they get in our face and we're just obeying the law and they get in our face for no reason and say, you're impeding my investigation, you're impeding my scene, da, 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 and they get all in our face, we're not supposed to resist them. We're supposed to go, yes, officer, I will back up. That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to go and back up. That's what we're supposed to do, according to some of these law enforcement officers. We're not supposed to go, you know what? I'm far enough back. I'm not obstructing, delaying, so there's no resisting. Turn around and get back to work. They take their flashlight out and they put it in your face. Because you got these assholes out there that think they can do whatever they want and it's okay because they have badges. And they have a patch on their arm that says San Bernardino County Sheriff's Deputy. And now we have this Attorney General who's calling for Americans to, the title of this, by the way, adopt zero tolerance to resisting police. What about police who resist law-abiding citizens that are just standing there with a camera and try to get in their face and put flashlights in their face and turn their car spotlight in their face and tell them to back up or you're going to get arrested right now? And all you're doing is standing there with a camera going, I'm just recording. What are you talking about? What about that policy? We put so much appreciation and so much admiration on law enforcement officers that we can't see the bad ones. We can't. You can't see the mud for the dirt. You can't see the mud for the water. It's right there in front of you, but you can't see it. And you're looking right at it. You're looking at law enforcement officers that push their badge too far onto people that are not breaking the law. Do you know why the DA never convicted me for 148A resisting? Because they didn't have resisting. No, I gave my name 4 times. He repeated my date of birth and wrote it down and then told dispatch I'm refusing to give him my date of birth. What? What? Huh? But that's how these cops are. They're liars. They're bullies. They're aggressors. They escalate it and then say, you made me escalate it. You did that with your camera and not doing what I tell you to do. Well, I'm a free American. I'm a grown man. I'm not your child and I'm not your employee. So I don't have to do everything you tell me to do until I break the law. And I didn't break the law then, because if I did, they would have got me for resisting. But I didn't resist. Because he lied. They had to find something else. What can we get this guy on? Because that's what they do. That's the nature of law enforcement in this country. We're going to get you on something so that we can say, we're right. Well, guess what? We're free. Guys, we're at war. But our weapons are not guns. Our weapons are not violence. Our weapons are not assault. Our weapons are what I'm looking into right now. Cameras. That should be your weapon of choice, a camera. Record them. And if you're not breaking the law, resist them and tell them, what I'm doing right now is constitutionally protected. Shut the fuck up and get back to work. That's what you tell them. Now, I understand if there's is a crime scene, like when I go to the San Bernardino and they just had a shooting and they said, we're going to tape it off. Yeah, okay, I'll back up and whatnot because they're speaking to me in a manner of respect. That night in Mentone, they had a shooting there. I walked up to see what they were doing, and then I looked down and noticed that there was some paper on the ground around me. And I said, you know what, to the sergeant, I said, you know what, I think I'm in your scene. He goes, yeah, there was just a shooting and there's ammo over there. I said, I'll back up. And I backed up. He was very respectful. But I didn't realize I had walked because they didn't tape it off. They didn't tape it off. And I didn't realize I had walked right up next to the brass. And I'm like, maybe I should back up away from the brass. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not there to be a dick or be an asshole or oppose law enforcement. But now let's say I was 50 or 60 feet away from the brass and he said, well, you need to go further back. Well, you need to tape it off. That's what I would have said. But we're not talking about all of that. We're talking about a guy who was being searched in front of a car His backpack and his pockets were being searched. We're not talking about a shooting. We're talking about a guy that was stopped on the sidewalk and he was being searched. And I was 50 feet away. And they wanted me to, you got to go further back because we don't like your camera. Well, we don't like you. Thank you guys for watching. Community Leo Watch. Sorry this was so long, but it needed to be. You guys need to hear this. It needs to sink in. Get a camera and start recording.